chomp things
Yeah.
in my bag, and I'll say, okay, it's an hour, I should try and hit something.
Yeah.
Max, you mentioned something about the fact that you drink 20 ounces of water, right, roughly every hour or so, to go with your food. I actually read somewhere that said you should drink something like 10 to 12 ounces of water for every 100 calories you take in. Is that so that your body can process it? Is that your experience that you found that tends to be true, that if you don't have enough to saturate the calories, it's not going to get processed as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a certain number per calorie that you need in order to dilute it in your stomach and to get it across your intestinal wall. But also, like when you're just talking about pure hydration, what they usually recommend is about like 20 to 28 ounces of water an hour. Sorry, I meant ounces. But you can convert it later.
See, for me, I don't know what that means, so I'm just like, I don't know, I've got a place for 2 bottles. I'll just take them.
Yeah, like one of our big soft flasks is 18 ounces, and so a little bit more than that. I usually use like a regular hard water bottle like that. It's about 20 to 22, and so it's 500 mils per hour roughly, and that's kind of how much you can absorb again. Has to do with hydration levels. A little bit more if it's hot out, a little bit less if it's cool out, and that's kind of more not from a carbohydrate processing, but just hydration level. That's kind of what you want to shoot for. You're going to be dehydrated at the end of the race, which is okay. That's another thing that's kind of like new information that's come out there the last couple of years is your hydration level probably should be a little bit lower than typically they've recommended in the past. It's always been drink before you're thirsty and never get thirsty and stuff, and now it's at the point where most people are recommending you're drinking as you get thirsty, and so you're at a lower hydration level because it's more optimal for the body and stuff. Otherwise, you start to get if you're drinking too much water, you can get hyponatremia, and that's actually going to be worse than being dehydrated. So.
My stomach doesn't like electrolyte water drinks, so I only drink water. But now in the gels and in a lot of the energy food that you get, it's got electrolytes added. And for me, I feel like that's enough. Usually before a race, the day before a race, I'll drink like one of those electrolyte tabs, the Doom things, and I'll just drink one of those. And I think generally speaking, if you're pretty well balanced with your diet, and you've got a whole variation of foods in there, you've got a little bit of salt coming in there from your diet, with a balanced diet, you should be able to be balanced with your electrolytes. Sure, if it's really, really hot out there, and you're prone to sweating a lot, and you end up caked in that white salt at the end of your run, then you should be taking in some salt, but not too much. Again, you take too much salt and you'll go into more troubles than you would if you would just carry on with what your body's naturally designed to do.
And yeah, I do. And in the past, I've taken salt tabs as I've been racing, usually like every 30 minutes or so. I've actually kind of stopped doing that in shorter races like 50K. But I think I will still do that in a longer race. I found that there's a lot of research out there now that says it doesn't help with cramping. I've talked to so many people though that anecdotally that does help with cramping that I just don't believe all of that scientific research yet. There's a couple of reasons you can cramp though, and one of the reasons I believe is because of low electrolyte or electrolyte loss. The other one is just fatigue, muscle fatigue, and just being tired. And so you kind of have to figure that out. It's like you start to cramp and you start shoving in salt. That's not necessarily going to help because it could be just from muscle fatigue because you went out too fast. But the electrolytes, I still take them just because it has less to do with how much electrolyte I have in my body than it does how much, what the pH balance and the electrolyte balance in my stomach and in my intestines is. So a lot of times your stomach goes south and you start having an upset stomach. Taking an electrolyte in can kind of help balance that out sometimes, and so you can feel a little bit better and it'll make you a little bit less nauseous because it balances the electrolytes in your gut. So that's that can be a good reason to take an electrolyte. obviously, if you take too much, same thing can happen too.
I think a good test for it is that if you eat salt while you're running, like a salty potato or some chips, or you have an electrolyte drink and you're like, oh god, there's so much salt in my mouth. You probably don't need more salt. You probably do. If you taste something and you're like, I can't taste salt at all, and you've got your fingers stuck in the salt thing, then you probably need to have a little bit of salt. Your body will tell you what you do and don't need. So if you like can see in a drink of electrolyte and you start drinking and you immediately start purging on it, then you probably don't need it. Your body will tell you. Because there's aid stations, right?
That's
So
what
you've got a
crew.
crew.
Yeah.
Or aid stations, and at the aid stations, most of them have like grilled
A buffet.
cheese sandwiches, and
Yeah.
like you could get a quesadilla. Like there's just options forever. And for me, I've always been like, I don't really know what I'm going to want, so I take my staple energy bars, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the gels and the chives.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm just like, oh, what do I feel like eating? That. So I'll eat that. And then, it's changed every time. And I've been lucky that I've had an option there. So I can get to an aid station and be like, I'm not eating, I need only liquid energy. Or I don't want to see another gel, don't hand me any of that stuff. All I want is rice salad. So, and then they'll make me a little to-go bag and I can try and eat that on the way. So for me, 100 miles is about being completely flexible and open and understanding of what you need and what you don't need, and then just responding to that.
So, yeah, I get like you take.
It doesn't work anymore, and so for the next 100 that I did in Leadville this year, I changed it up and went more to solid foods. I was doing gels in between aid stations so that I could carry those very easily. And then at the aid stations with my crew, I prepared, so I did eggs, like fried eggs. I did some avocado, and I did rice, and and bacon. And I just kind of picked those 4 things because I do like, one, they're pretty innocuous. They had good energy in them between carbohydrates and rice and fat and fat protein in the bacon and avocado. And it was just kind of like foods that I knew I liked. I figured they would go down pretty easily. And so I did those in between at the crew stations and stuff. And the things that I found like the best were the avocado was really good, the rice was really good. The bacon I held off quite a while until like later in the race when I was kind of craving like something a little bit salty. And so that was kind of what I did there. And my stomach throughout the race there felt